Welcome back to Hollywood North Radio, where the celebrities come to play. Man, we had to segue into that. We are here live with Tyler Hatch. He is a digital forensics investigator, and we're gonna find out what all that is. Tyler, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Sleeps, man. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Super excited to disappoint your loyal listeners.
No, it's totally fine. I do it every week. It's good. You're good. Don't worry.
Sweet. Primed.
Yeah, trust me. We're good.
So this is the first time me and Tyler have actually met in person.
Yes.
We met on, was it LinkedIn?
Please don't. No, we're live.
I
I'm
think it
joking.
started on
I'm
LinkedIn.
joking.
I
Yeah.
think it was LinkedIn, right?
Yeah.
I get a lot of messages and just inquiries and stuff like that. Shut up. You know what?
I hate when you guys fight.
I was like, yo, come on, it was there. You know, he's a digital guy.
Well, he knows how to hack into things, okay? So we're going to be getting into that, okay?
I'll get you.
He's like, Sleepy, well, I found out one of the sites you really like.
Oh, God. Anyways, so I met Tyler online. I've met a lot of people online over the years, but you were such an inspiring story. You were so interesting to me in the sense of just where you've gone to what you're doing now to where you started. And so you started in law.
I did, yeah.
You were a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
And what did you practice?
Civil litigation.
Civil litigation.
Yeah,
You're a
in
good
Surrey.
guy. I like that.
Yeah. I represented businesses fighting with each other over money and deals gone bad.
Yep,
Wow.
yep.
Yeah.
So not really a good guy then.
Well,
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I had my bad moments.
Yep,
I hear you.
yep.
Do you find that tough though? When like have you ever been in a situation where you're like, dude, you're wrong, but
Oh,
oh man.
you nailed it. That was my biggest challenge in law was I had to represent people that I didn't agree with their position. I found it really hard, yeah.
Wow.
Some people can just check out, I guess, and that's the challenge of practicing law. Is when I didn't believe in the case, I found it really hard to argue it to the best of my ability. And so yeah, it was a challenge.
Did you lose that one?
I lost a lot of trials, and I won a lot
No,
too.
I'm talking about that one. No, I'm
Oh,
just
that
joking.
one. Yeah.
I'm playing.
Do I
I'm
have-
just joking with you.
I
No, but
still
that's
have
very
professional
interesting.
liability insurance. I don't know.
That's very interesting because it's funny because no matter what your job title is, there's a real person that's, behind or in front of that title.
Yeah. So the problem with being a trial lawyer is a lot of people are results based. They assess their performance and their professional worth on their record. And
Right.
when as a young man, I didn't really have the ability to say I did the best I could. At a certain point, you turn it over to a judge like Wally Opal, and they make the decision. It's out of your hands, so you lose control, and you just have to convince yourself that you did the best job. And when I lost or I won, it was hard on me. Ironically, both. When I won, I'm like, I just had an easy case, or judge was in a good mood that day, or something like that. I didn't give myself enough credit, and then when I lost, I would just tell myself I was the worst person ever. So it was difficult. Mental.
And so when you and I had connected on the internet, you would ask me, like, I would love to have you on my podcast.
Ah.
So you and I did your podcast, and, obviously before I went on your podcast, I did some, searching of you and your company, and I wanted to really go in and us have a good conversation where I knew a lot of your background. And so when I Googled you, a lot of information came up in regards to some of the struggles that you've been through in your life, and the story. Your story is just so crazy, inspiring, and I want to touch on that a little bit. So you were a trial lawyer, you were practicing law, and you were struggling a lot in that sense, right? And can you kind of take us through? I want to start with the beginning. We're going to go through what you're working on now, but I think this is important to kind of lean on towards the end of this of your story.
So when I was practicing law, I found it. I was stressed out. I went all in, and I just got into the hamster wheel of practicing law, and I started to lose my healthy habits like running and working out and eating well, and I started dealing with the stress by eating too much, drinking too much, and towards the end, I was just sort of feeling really, really burned out and stressed. And the end of my career came in about the middle of 2010, and I just basically burned out, and I was subsequently diagnosed with having a bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
And any mental illness that goes untreated is going to cause problems, especially when it's in a high-pressure job. So I basically spent the next 4 years trying to get a handle on my mental health. And I spent a lot of days staring blankly at a wall for hours on end and not knowing what to do. And it was just I was lost. I was really lost for a long period of time. And somewhere in that time period, I continued to drink and eat poorly, and I tried to keep my physical health up, but it didn't go as planned. And eventually, I've always been interested. I've always had a thing about playing blackjack, and I've always felt that was a good pastime. But at a certain point, it started to kind of take over and become a bigger part of my life in an unhealthy way. And at a certain point, it again crossed from a habit into a bit of a compulsion. I became, I started being put on a drug that helped cause a gambling addiction in a full-blown sense because it produces compulsive behaviors.
Oh, wow.
And I really went down this really destructive path of a gambling addiction. In the height of abusing alcohol pretty heavily,
which was was super fascinating to me. And I've had people in my life struggle from mental illness and also addiction issues, but to meet somebody that actually was addicted to gambling online was so new to me because I mean, that's so easy to do that. You sit at home, you gamble or whatever, but I never actually really realized that that could be a problem for people.
And it is a fairly small proportion of gamblers. I think it's somewhere around 3 to 5% in BC, which doesn't, but those are really problem gamblers. So I went from freaking out if I lost $100 to literally like 40 grand a month until I went broke. And I was, the problem was that I was doing it because it's online. I was up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m, where my wife was asleep and she didn't know what I was doing. And I was, feeding this habit, and I was winning, I was losing. I was telling myself that I was good at this game, even though I was losing money hand over fist. And eventually, it really escalated. It's the point that I'm trying to make. And there must have been some knowledge on the part of BCLC. I'm not convinced that they didn't know that I went from, playing a few $100s a month to all of a sudden this crazy
amount,
habit. And the thing is, when I look back, because it was online, I have literally a spreadsheet of all my transactions. Yeah, man. And it's not like I didn't win. It's this spreadsheet of insanity. I would be up like 20, 30 grand in an hour. And then in 45 minutes, I would be 5 grand in the hole. And in the next hour, I'd be putting more money in. It was just a spiral, insanity fueled experience. It wasn't about, people think gambling, you sit down and you logically and consciously make the choice to win money, and then when you lose you cry that you have a problem and you want to sue somebody. It's not really what it was. I mean, it was way out of control for me. So that was. And
so then you got to a point where you were like, you take us through take us through the moments of like around November of 2016, I finally reached the end of my rope. And somewhere along the line, I thought, okay, first of all, I had cashed in my disability policy because I was ill, and I was receiving some through a private policy that I had. If I wasn't able to practice law, I was receiving some benefits. Right. And part of my solution to my debt from the gambling was to approach the insurance company and negotiate a lump sum settlement of my debt. And the idea was to pay off my debt and move on. Unfortunately, when they gave me a check for like 600 grand, I started gambling very badly. It was just a sea of, it was just this, perfect storm of disaster. And so I was about halfway through my funds, and I realized I had a problem and I was out of control, but I didn't know what to do. So my thought was, well, let's try to win all my money back. And if that doesn't work out, I'll just kill myself. This was literally my thinking.
Wow.
So along comes November 2016. I'm out of money. I'm about 50 grand now in debt. I now have to tell my wife why I have no money, and that was a difficult thing to do. And I'm selling cars for a living. And I'm not very good at selling cars. And I was earning like $300 a month. Like, it was just, I lost hope. Mm-hmm. I completely lost hope that my life would ever get better. And I was riddled with guilt for having destroyed my life.
Right.
So eventually it just took me down the path where I did try to kill myself. And so in August of 2017, yeah, there was a fateful morning where I did, go through with a very serious plan that fortunately didn't work.
Yep.
And
Thank
I
God.
thank God every day that I'm still here. Yeah, and out of that low moment, I think this is probably what you mean when you find my story inspiring. Out of that low moment, I surrendered myself to a rehab facility who helped me get back on track and fix a problem that I couldn't fix myself. And I spent 6 weeks in Powell River at Sunshine Coast Health Center, and they really turned me around. And I had lost all hope. I had no value in myself. On that moment where I tried to kill myself, I literally thought, I'm useless to everyone around me, including my wife. And maybe if I'm not around anymore, at least she'll get, my life insurance policy will pay her some money. In that moment, I had put my value on that life insurance. That's all I thought I was worth.
Right.
And that's just not a great place to be. But they built me up, and they started to realize that, make me realize that I did have something valuable to contribute to the world and society and to myself, and that I owed it to myself to live a meaningful life and a good life. So, in the last 2 years, I've kind of got back on track.
You've beyond gotten back on track. I mean, and that's what we need to talk about now with your forensic stuff. And
I have a question about that, because what you said, something that kind of it evokes an emotion in me, where I was very, very curious. Where you said you put a price on your life, with which, and there's no number. I'm just curious what that number was.
$750,000 in a life insurance policy.
Right. So I mean, and you're so right. Doesn't matter what that number is. You can't put a price on someone's life.
No, and I didn't consider, that my wife loves me.
Yeah.
And despite my mistakes, she still loved me, and she's still with me, and all that.
what an amazing woman.
Yeah.
by the
Honestly,
way.
Pam, if you're listening, you are an amazing woman.
What's
I
her
love you
name?
to
Pam?
death. Yeah, Pam.
Pam!
Another
Yes.
We had to lend that. We had
Yeah.
to lend that from our friend Pam at the Kidney Foundation to you.
Yeah, an amazing woman. Like, she just literally went into problem-solving mode and said, I love you. This is what we're going to do. And, yeah, she was upset and mad and couldn't understand it. Neither could I. But, we've worked through it. And to be still together is amazing. I always tell people
Totally
this.
is.
It's not just that we're still together. Some people stay together because it's difficult to break up. We've fought like crazy to stay together, and we're happy. And I've actually regained her trust. We're doing well. We're closer, having been through this thing that we've fought through. We're closer and more in love than we ever have been. And it's such an amazing feeling to have somebody.
And that's so amazing. But my brain, and because I'm slow, like I find things funny in a lot of matters. When you said,
Don't
that
be
you guys were going through
inappropriate.
it, I'm trying not to. So my question, I'm like, I mean, I don't know how I would have just crumbled as soon as I would have heard, like, who are you? I don't even know you. I don't even know who you are, because that's one of the toughest things to ever, that's resonating in her head, and to be able to fight forward to now where you guys are at again is amazing, because trust is one of and what you went through is absolutely amazing, and what an amazing person that she is. Because
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people would be able to do that.
No.
Thank you, Pam.
Yeah, Pam, almost nobody would be with me after all this, and I'm looking forward to growing old with you, babe. I love you.
But you know what, Tyler? You are so open, and you've taken accountability. You've acknowledged your mistakes, and that is like,
That's
that's
huge.
how you can rebuild relationships with people, is that just standing on your own 2 feet. And you, like, I'm so proud and inspired
Thanks.
by you, and it's just to see you now. And like, I just met you, and I'm just like, your story for me is just a daily thing where I'm like, he's come so far and changed everything around for himself. And and it's important for a lot of people out there to hear this story, because there's a lot of people out there that probably do have these problems, and they feel like they want to kill themselves, or that they have no way out. And look at you do have a way out.
100%.
You can come back from it, and that's why I talk about it. And some people, believe it or not, think that I just do this for attention or glory. I don't. I look back to my
Whatever,
dark
buddy.
time.
Who cares? Who cares about the haters?
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, seriously, I got that as recently as Thursday.
Really?
Oh yeah. But the reason why I think back to my dark time, and I think if I had known that other people would have experienced this, maybe I wouldn't have let it go so far. Maybe I would have said, I'm not to blame for all this. Other people go through it, and maybe I should reach out for help. And so that's why I do it. And it's also important to have the humility to sit back and go, I didn't have all the answers. And people struggle in all walks of life with all kinds of problems. And it's okay to say, I don't know how to fix this. I need help. People hire personal trainers all the time. People hire, all sorts of things
Good
in
point.
life when
Yeah.
they don't know how to improve their health or get physically better. But there's a shame attached to mental health and addiction that prevents people from coming forward and getting help. And I'm just trying to break down that barrier a little bit, do my part to break down that barrier to open up the door for people to get
I
help.
feel like the words mental health too, when you put mental in there, it puts this thing on it where it's like that person's mental, right?
Yeah.
Well,
It's kind of harsh, right? It's like,
but there's so many other things that words.
what
that
about
were
mind,
put together,
mind
like-
health
like,
or,
brain
you know,
health?
I just feel like as a like whole society probably has that like, oh, mental, it's
Well,
mental.
Well, you have to
Something's
remember,
mental.
people are mentally ill, mentally insane, or mentally that word has a stigma for being bad.
Yeah, I just feel like maybe we should change that
Like
vocab
Black
a little
Friday.
bit, and
Today, it
Yeah.
ends today on this show.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
more
Okay.
mental
Yeah.
health shame.
Okay.
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
you did your rehab, you came
Yeah.
out, you're rehabilitated. Where did you start your company that you're doing now, and where was the interest in doing the investigation stuff and the forensic stuff?
Right. So during rehab, when I started to believe in myself again, I actually wanted to go back into law. So I came out of rehab and I applied back to the Law Society. And because of my history, they were taking a hell of a long time to process my application. And I needed a job. So in January, I started looking for work, and I found an opportunity with a digital forensics firm in Vancouver. And I applied and I got the job, and they said most of their clients were lawyers, and I just thought it would be interesting. And sure enough, it really was interesting. And I got the job and I started working there, and it was going really well. And I dove in. I found it so fascinating. I immediately said, I'm not doing the law thing. This is going to be what I'm going to do. The problem was doing it the way I like to treat people and value clients. I wasn't able to do it in this
Right.
particular business.
Right.
So I couldn't work for this person anymore. So I'm like, I'm going to just start my own company, which was irresponsibly foolish because I had no money. I obviously have damaged credit. So I literally just decided this is what I want to do. I'm going to start this company and I'm going to make it work. And I was just driven by passion and some kind of crazy belief in myself. I don't know why. This time last year, so July 2018, I started my own business. Yeah, man. And I just,
Sorry.
that was beautiful. Don't apologize for that kind of beautifulness.
He's like, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, this time last year, I'm not terribly ashamed, I guess, to say I was doing skip the dishes and working a grocery store job at, stocking shelves in the graveyard and building my business during the day because that's
You
what I had
shouldn't
to
be
do.
ashamed to say that.
You are who you are right now because of that. Sometimes
Yeah.
You gotta fall back
they
and
always
do
say
what you gotta
rock
do
bottom,
to
or
raise
they-
up.
or you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they hit you a point where you kind of like, well, the only way is up. Do you believe in everything happens for a reason? Because
I
I
do.
believe that if you weren't
Yeah.
doing the skip the dishes thing and it wouldn't have motivated you and pushed you to make sure that you made this company work.
If you
100%.
hadn't gone through one of the most terrible times of your life, you wouldn't be where you are today.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
As
true.
shitty as things can be,
Yeah.
they can be total blessings in our lives,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I remember there was a time about this time last year where I was trying to get business from a lawyer that is now my friend and Chris Jernov's good employment lawyer, Kane Shannon Weiler. And I remember I walked in to get an order from like Mucho Burrito, and I'm staring at my app and I'm dead tired and I'm just like, pick up my food, go deliver it for a $1 tip, and let's be on our way. And I look
my
up
God, I'm tipping
and
my
here's
Uber
Chris
Eats
and his
like $10
fiance,
today.
and I dropped my delivery bag and I kicked it under the table. I'm like, hey Chris, what's up? I just pretended like I was there like he was after a workout. I'm like, yeah, just hanging out, grabbing a taco, whatever. But he didn't know I was working. And since I've told him the story, and he's like, dude, you should have just told me. Like I admire that. That's awesome. So-
Wow, cool.
But yeah, I was like, oh, if he
That's
ever
dope.
finds out that I'm skipping the dishes and trying to be like his forensic guy, he's gonna think I'm a total loser.
No, he's not.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what you think in the moment. But yeah, no, I'm proud of the way I built the business, and it makes you thankful for what you have and the small success that we've gained over the past year, and where it's going is really exciting. So
Thank you, Pam, for being
Thrilled.
such a good support and a big
oh,
support for
man, you
Yeah.
have no
Without
idea.
that,
Yeah.
Pam.
trust me.
Yeah.
Pam,
She's good shit. That Pam.
Pam.
So what kind of clients do you have? What exactly do you do for people that
yes.
have no idea about what you do?
Right.
Like, what do
okay.
you do?
So forensics, first of all, is, we hear about forensic accounting and crime scene forensics. It's gathering evidence for use in court, and we do it in the digital realm. So I look at cell phones and computers and social media and metadata and all these kind of things, and we gather facts. We gather facts and we present the evidence in court. So traditionally, as a lawyer, if I wanted to prove something in court, I would talk to my clients, I would talk to witnesses, I would take statements, I would gather documents. Well, now we can look at a cell phone. Look at, they're everywhere. Imagine how much you can learn about somebody and what they've been doing if you look in their cell phone.
You're gonna be.
Yeah, you're looking nervous.
You're gonna
Seriously.
be so
I'm good.
successful. You're gonna have
Hey,
so much
I just
business.
want-
You're not even gonna know
I
what
just
to
wanna
do.
know- I just want to know.
Yeah.
I got this homie, right? And
Yeah.
no, I'm
A
just playing.
homie. Yeah, it's totally not you, is it?
I just need you to look into something for me.
Yeah, that's right.
We go
Yeah.
for a burger and a beer. So, you don't drink? We go to I don't know. Let's go to
Hey,
Joe
burgers?
Forte's. Okay, we
Yeah,
go to
man.
Forte's then, bro. Kobe Steakhouse,
Yeah.
whatever you
oh,
want.
now you're talking. So that's what it is. We gather evidence and we produce our findings for lawyers in court. For the most part, that's about half or 75% of what the work that we do. It's the low-hanging fruit for me. I've got good relationships in the legal community because I used to be a courtroom lawyer. So I
Right.
know how to present evidence, and I know what sort of checks and balances you have to put before you reach a conclusion. You have to make sure that what you find actually means the conclusion that you think it does. You know,
Have you ever found something on somebody where you like, no, he need Jesus and we need to get him
Oh.
arrested?
Jesus, yeah.
Forget the case. Forget
Yeah.
what we looking at him for. But yo, my dude, like somebody need to send a forensic email to somebody on some other tip.
Yeah. Well, imagine, right? I mean, imagine the things that we see, even though we're not looking for it, when you start looking at somebody's personal device. I mean, almost
Yeah.
everybody has, a picture of their privates.
Not
Whether they're
me.
Oh,
No.
they
That's
come.
the white
they
guy
come up.
thing. I'm
Yeah.
joking.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Don't make it
right.
about color, man.
I'm just saying, social media has shown us all, if you Google it.
Yeah.
So do you don't deal with
97%
like
number.
people that try to scam you online and stuff like that?
Oh,
too?
most
Like-
definitely we do. Yeah, it's actually a really big problem. So cybercrime is sort of the umbrella that I would put that under. And there's, we all know the data breaches like Capital One and things, information being leaked.
Yep.
But there's also ransomware attacks where businesses are attacked repeatedly and their network is encrypted and they're demanded to pay money. We respond to that and we get the business up and running. We lay the factual groundwork for a lawyer to give a legal opinion on what the business's next step is. Do you have to report the incident to your clients? Is there somebody to sue as a result of this? There's a lot of business email scams going on right now where people are hacking into your emails and then they're getting in, and law firms have been significantly affected by this. They're redirecting payment of settlement funds,
Okay.
large amounts.
Oh, wow.
Accounts payable. I mean, we're talking like clothing manufacturers recently where it was like 68,000 US. There was a law firm in Vancouver that's, I think it was $1 or $2 million of settlement funds that were redirected. And so these people get in the email conversation and the money is paid. So it's interesting because somebody gets hacked, right? And then the other people get the new instructions from the criminal who looks like the email is coming from a legitimate source. And they don't do anything. They don't pick up the phone and say, hey, it's kind of weird. Are you sure you want me to pay that here now? And to Samuel L. Jackson, this literally happened to a law firm, Samuel L. Jackson. Doesn't seem weird at all, right? And so they paid the money. And
Wow.
yeah, so who's to blame there? Is it the company that got hacked, or is it the person who didn't do enough to confirm the new directions? So we have to come in and say this is exactly the facts that we're dealing with, because this isn't user level stuff. We're
Yeah.
looking at the logs and of events that are kind of behind the scenes, and so yeah, there's a lot of
I blasted somebody on LinkedIn yesterday.
yeah.
So I
That
have
sounds
over
fascinating.
5,000 people on my LinkedIn. I get a lot of requests about whatever on there. And this guy, obviously I have my law background. I'm not I wasn't born yesterday. I know how to look at an email signature, everything, right?
Yeah.
And this guy who was a middle-aged white man, probably in his 50s, his name was David Graham. He contacted me on LinkedIn and he's like, hi, Brittany, I've checked out your profile very professionally. He's like, it's so funny we're talking about all this now because this just happened to me like the last 3 days.
I got a weird text. I want to say.
I need to hear this one. Yeah, yours. And so he's like, oh, I have an administrative position for you and all this, and at part-time you can do it at home and all this stuff. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I always approach messages and from people like, okay, well, give me some more information. Let me know, blah, blah, blah. So this guy, I'm like, I just had a funny feeling about it from the beginning. So I Google imaged his picture, and this guy from the States came up. It was totally not the same guy. I actually did my little FBI girl investigation for like 20 minutes.
Girl.
Boom, boom, boom. I found the guy's like office. I emailed him and sent him, and I'm like, this guy's saying that he's you, but I don't think it's you. And so like me and the guy got in a conversation, and then I blasted this page, and I was like,
nice.
This guy says that he's so-and-so. He's not. Just a warning to everybody that you know or whatever. But I just had the feeling that it was fishy. I didn't even, yeah.
Was he asking you to send information?
Yeah. I mean, I think the next step would have been him trying to, he asked me to send him a resume, and I did. But my resume, I mean, it has my name, my email address, and my phone number and address. But you could get that. I didn't give them banking information.
Right.
I didn't give him my SIN number. I didn't give him my date of birth. So my resume, I mean, you could find my resume probably. You could find it. You know what I mean? You could find my address if you wanted, really, right?
I could.
Yeah, you could. I know who to call now, right? But this was like, I'm like, what are you gonna get? Like, if you looked at my resume, you would see that I would be catching on real quick. I mean, I'm
Do
not.
you want to know
what
what that scam's about?
Yeah. See.
So people get hired for this job that seems really too good to be true, and the company sends them a check for say 30 grand and says, take your $5 cut and send us the rest of the money. But the check is bad. It's a bad check. So then the person.
So you're putting it in your bank account personally.
And
so you're liable for that.
Yeah, and you take your $5 out or whatever, and then the bank tells you a few days later, by the way, that check was no good. You owe us 30 grand. Yeah. And the person that you've sent the 25 grand to
would have never gotten that far for me.
Yeah, it's really bad. It happens a lot.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. No,
and
that would
people actually do that.
Some. I mean, it's a numbers game. That kind of scam is a numbers game.
Yeah.
You hope to do it to 1 million people, and maybe 3 will actually do it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But not Brit.
But I got
No.
I got a text
I
saying,
Google searched that photo right
Atta
up
girl.
way.
saying
That's right.
but I deleted it off my phone because I didn't know if it was something that if I click it, it starts to suck information out.
Yes.
So once I clicked it, because it said we owe you money and here's a credit, and it looked like an e-transfer.
Yeah.
So when you do it, so I'm like, this doesn't seem right. So weird enough, I was like, I gotta call Fido anyway. So instead of paying my bill, I'll just tell them to credit my account. So I didn't open up the rest of it and go and put bank information, none of that stuff. So I talked to the guy. I'm like, hey, and you guys sent me a credit. Can I put the credit for an email transfer? Can you guys cancel that and just put that money towards? He's like, we never sent you an email transfer. We don't do that. We will only credit your account. We'll never send you money.
Yeah.
Like that as a business, that doesn't even make any sense.
Wow. See, I would have. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. That's called phishing. Phishing with a PH.
Wow.
And it happens in email and text messages more and more too.
But I think you've tapped into the perfect opportunity with your business because we're just getting more
there's a
how
lot
can
of
you
opportunity
even keep
ahead.
up now?
Well, if
I
you have the
mean-
passion, it's really fun.
Yeah.
I have to say. I mean, when you're not being the victim, it's actually quite fascinating.
But what kind of clients do you have? Do you get businesses?
Oh, God,
like
man.
women trying to find out shit about their husbands.
Yeah.
Husbands trying to find out things about their wives.
Yeah. So I mean,
the spy store.
I know that you don't
Oh,
want
God,
to.
yeah.
I know you
You
don't
know the
want to.
spy
That you
store?
can't really tell your methods,
no, I can.
right? I mean, okay. Well, go ahead. Shoot.
I mean, we get everything from individuals and from to right up to businesses and lawyers. So individuals tend to be suspicion of being spied on, and the technology is certainly there that they can be, and that kind of thing can be hidden and massively invasive. Like we're talking, it transmits your Signal conversations, your Telegram conversations, WhatsApp, all these things that we think are
What?
encrypted and safe, because once it's installed on your phone, it can see everything.
What?
And it
Can you check my
transmits
phone?
location.
Who can see everything?
Them.
Can you check my phone? No,
They.
because I have.
It tends to be men spying on their wives once post
Oh,
breakup.
I emailed that guy back too before I blocked him and reported his page, and I was like, "You idiot!" I'm like, "I know this is a scam." I was like, "I found the guy that's you, and just so you know, I messaged him, and me and that guy have been he's like an old man. He was like heavy in the military in the States, and he's
Right.
very well known. They took his photo, put it on this thing, and it looked like a recruiter that was trying to recruit
Yeah.
me for an administrative part-time job at home, which would have been right up my alley, because if I could do administrative work for a couple hours a night
Yeah.
and make $1,000 a month, why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Yeah,
As a
yeah.
contractor, right? It's like money in my pocket. But I knew, you
While
know,
you're watching Ellen,
Yeah.
For those
You
of
know?
that,
yeah,
Brittany's a massive Ellen fan.
yeah.
Are you?
I love Ellen. Actually,
Well,
I
who
went
doesn't? She can dance. She's funny.
I went to her show last year. It was like,
Yeah.
it was like the best moment of my life.
She's got nice teeth.
Yeah,
She's good shit.
yeah.
That's my
Your
own.
girlfriend's hot.
Yes, Portia.
So, what
Just
are your
saying.
biggest tips for people? Like, if you're going to talk to the younger generation about, you know, phones and LinkedIn and
Can we
social
start
media.
this sentence with "It's okay, you listen, you idiots"?
No.
I'm
You
just
don't want to shame
I'm
people.
joking.
You don't want to
Don't
shame
be
people.
ashamed for what we're about to tell you.
I'm
Not
all
shaming,
about
I'm
prevention. So the hands down, the two things that people can do are use common sense and use two-factor authentication. Nobody, even if somebody guesses or brute forces your password, they're not going to get any further than that if you have two-factor authentication. You're going to receive a text message or some sort of message to your phone saying, hey, are you trying to log into your Facebook account or Instagram or your bank account? Or, well, not bank account, but... And so if you say that's not me doing that, you shut them down right then and there. And not enough people are enabling that security feature on their Amazon account or all these things. And it happens to a lot of people on, you know, your iCloud account. I mean, God, back that up. You know, a
But
local.
everybody's iCloud's backed up automatically, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but see, it can be long. See, okay, I'll give you an example of somebody that we worked with. You know, a well-known Vancouver DJ. In fact, his wife got hacked. Her iCloud account got hacked, and she did not have two-factor authentication set up. So once they guessed the password and got inside, they then enabled two-factor authentication, but to their cell phone number, not hers. And so we contacted Apple and we said, look, this is not the person who's in control of the account. Our client is in control of this. This is her account. There must be another way we can verify. They said, no. As far as we're concerned, it's the hacker's account now. That's literally what they said. As far as we're concerned, it's their account now. And they suggested that they just start a new iCloud account. But guess what? This gentleman and his family had over 1,800 family photos, over 500 family videos that they didn't really want to lose. So we looked at their device and we captured what we could from backup sources, but they
Wow.
lost all of the original material that they had.
That's like but nowadays that's the version of like your house burning down and all some of your
100%.
stuff that you keep is all gone, you know, like your
Yeah.
photo albums and shit like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not good. You never want to be in that position. So prevention is the key. And so I try to send this message out. I'm unfortunately the guy that gets the call in the middle of the night on a Saturday when there's a data breach or something like that, and we're the response guys. But I work hand in hand with a really good team of prevention guys, and they do the cybersecurity, Cyber SC, Dominic Vogel and Christian Redshaw.
Wow,
They are the guys that come in and do an
guys to know.
assessment and prevent everything from happening. I'm the guy that comes in if something gets through, slips past the goalie, and I have to go in and do my job.
You gotta go to the
but-
tape. You gotta
but
go
we all
back
work
to
together.
Toronto and see if it.
Yeah, exactly. Did it cross the goal line? Yeah, instant replay, baby. Yeah, but no, we all work together, and there's a really wonderful community of information security people in Vancouver and really all across North America. We all cooperate just to get the job done for our mutual clients.
That's because you're
And
Canadian.
I mean, maybe I don't
joking.
know. Maybe
We're all
it could
nice.
be. Could be,
We're
eh?
all nice.
Yeah.
Could be, eh?
Yeah. But most of us aren't greedy. We don't try to hoard work and do stuff that's outside of our area of expertise.
That's Canadian.
'Cause, yeah.
Americans would be like, I'm not telling
I know,
you.
yeah. What do you mean you're going up to the guy up the street? Pay me to do it in a mediocre way. That's not what we're all about. So
Yeah.
yeah, we all work together. It's really cool.
I heard he doesn't like Canadians.
So where can people find your information? And I love your Instagram, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're doing a very good job with that. I was gonna say.
I appreciate that.
I
actually,
looked at it and I was looking at everything and I was like, man, I don't even have anything to tell this guy. Like he's just, you're on fire. You're doing it really well, and
I
I'm
really
really
appreciate
enjoying
that.
the content that you're content that you're posting because
Thank you.
I learned like 2 things off of your Instagram this week where I was like, wow, like
Really?
that's fascinating.
like
Like,
what'd you learn?
what was
we
that?
can't tell you forensically. We need
can
to keep
tell
that
you-
for ourselves.
yeah.
Well, one thing that I
We
posted
starting
this
our own
week.
business.
One thing that I posted this week that is kind of near and dear to my heart because I really hate this kind of disgusting content. I had a father that contacted me, and so in the whole spirit of just dealing with situations that you may not be able to handle yourself, you have to make your children understand that they can come forward to you for help without fear of retribution or punishment. And this father had a young girl interact with somebody on social media. She was 15 years old, eventually met him at a SkyTrain station. He got all handsy immediately. She wasn't into it. She went back, she left. And then he continued to harass her. So she's like, I'm going to try and deal with this myself rather than come to my parents because I might get in trouble. She spent her 16-year-old birthday crying in her room all day because this guy is now launching an all-out assault on her character, telling her friends, posting on social media that she has sexually transmitted diseases, AIDS, she's a whore, this and that. She's absolutely crushed. And she tried to deal with it herself. And now her parents are involved, and they're trying to, after the fact, work with the police and me a little bit too. And it's just heartbreaking because it could have been maybe avoided if she went to her parents or somebody in authority earlier without feeling like she was going to get in trouble. And the parents weren't going to give her trouble. They would happily help her.
Right.
And that kind of stuff really kills me. So I try to get out the message. And that's maybe what I posted that you
I'm
probably
just
saw.
glad I don't
exactly
have
what
a
it was.
daughter because I would not have handled it that way.
Yeah, I know. And believe me, I mean, the father was like, I need your help because I'm about to drive out to so-and-so.
Movie
Yeah.
buff scene.
Yeah,
You've
right?
seen the Samuel L. Jackson movie.
Yeah.
What's it called? The Time to Kill.
There you go. Yeah.
Shit.
I've never seen that one. What's it about?
Oh, well, it's about a father's daughter
Yeah.
who gets murdered.
After she
sexually
gets
assaulted.
brutally,
Yeah,
well, she actually
assaulted.
lives.
And-
She lives in the
yes,
movie,
it is.
but she gets
sexually
brutally
assaulted.
raped and
Yeah.
and assaulted.
And-
And Samuel L. Jackson murders the guy coming out of court. Well, so now you don't have to
Yeah.
see that movie because I just ruined the ending. But
She asked.
Matthew McConaughey's in it.
She
He's
asked.
handsome. He's got a cool
Hello.
accent.
Hubba hubba. Hubba hubba.
All right.
Yes. I work with businesses and entrepreneurs like building their social media, but I do get questions in my mentoring programs from the kids like, how do you deal with negativity and
Yeah.
and what if somebody does say something about you on the internet and
You
stuff
don't
like
know
that?
what I
And
want to say.
yeah, it's crazy, but there's so many positives too,
Yeah.
though,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
if your daughter did go missing and you could find her really quick if you put a
Act
plan
on it. You
together
act
and
on it quick.
right, people could
Yeah.
post your kid's photo
Call
within
Tyler.
seconds. It's like boom,
Call
right? Or
Tyler.
you call a forensic, investigator like Tyler,
Can I-
Yes.
professional.
Can I give out your Instagram?
Yeah, we're at DFI. The company is called DFI Forensics. So our website is dfiforensics.ca if anybody wants to check that out. We're on all social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I've got a podcast, the Digital Forensics Files podcast. We're all up on Instagram.
Which
so.
is really cool too.
See,
Yeah.
lucky
Yeah.
you did that. I was about to give you a personal one.
Oh, well, you can launch that out too.
Okay, it's
Tyler Hatch,
at-
1976. You'll see a lot of dogs on my personal Instagram. I love dogs.
Yeah.
And my dogs are
After-
wicked awesome. They're super cute.
That was part of your story that broke my heart when
Mm.
you'd said like I put my dogs in the crate and I was ready to like pull the
Yeah.
trigger and I was gonna like end my life, and when when you look at it in those terms too, it's just like heartbreaking because there's so many people that love you and like those animals love you, and there's so many people in your life that like don't want it's
Yeah, I think that was what I remember most about that day was putting my dogs in, because dogs and animals are so intuitive to what
Oh
you're
my
going
God, I
through.
can't. I'm gonna
and
cry.
I know I'm gonna
Stop.
cry too. I literally, when I locked them away, they were looking at me like, I don't know what you're doing, Dad,
Oh my
but don't
God,
do it.
stop.
And I want to stop. And they didn't understand what was going on, but they knew something wasn't right. And they were looking at me like, just don't do what you're going to do. And I was bawling and I was hugging them and I locked them away and went and tried anyway. Yeah, absolutely. That is what I remember most.
And my question
Yeah.
was what was it that made you say no and stop?
What, to try and give up? And
Well, not pulling the trigger.
He did.
well, frankly,
did.
if I had a gun, I wouldn't be here right now. When Wally is talking about gun reform and keeping weapons out of the hands of people, I think that's a very good thing. And for suicide prevention, it's very good that we don't have access to lethal means, because I would have used it and I would not be here.
Wow.
I tried to hang myself.
Okay.
And what I did is I wrote suicide notes and I locked up my dogs, and then I swallowed some sleeping pills and drank some beers, and I tried to hang myself. And what I did is I called 911. And the reason why I did that is because I didn't want my wife to come home to my dead body. And I asked them to come,
Quickly.
and find my body. And I hung up, and I hung myself, whatever the word is. And I remember feeling an immense sense of frustration that I wasn't losing consciousness. And if you've ever kind of been held underwater for a period of time, you get that panicked feeling like, oh my God, I need to breathe. And your body comes to life and your brain goes into survival mode. That's kind of what happened. And in that exact moment, 911 called me back. And my phone was right beside me. And I saw that it was them. And something just reached up inside, and I kind of unwrangled myself enough to answer the phone and accept the help. And I decided to live in that moment. And like I said, I thank God every day that I did.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I believe that too, man. One of the things that I went through in rehab was a reestablishment with my belief in God. I lived my life for over 20 years as an adult, as a hardcore atheist. And I steered away from the feeling of God and the belief in God. And I really started to feel that connection again. And rather than run away with it, I embraced it. And it was kind of that lawyer mentality. There's no proof of God, so therefore I can't believe in it.
Right.
And I just decided that I'm going to have faith in this presence that gives me strength and comfort. And I believe that too, man. Yeah.
Wow.
CJ, dropping wisdom.
There you
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
So,
go. Wow.
You are such an inspiration. Like, I can't.
no, I'm just a schmuck. But you know what? I really appreciate that.
I was
And
thinking the same thing, but I didn't want to say
That I was a
out loud, so I'm
schmuck?
glad that you took it. No, I'm just
like-
joking. I'm just totally joking.
No,
brother.
God.
no, I mean, you guys, you don't even realize what it's like for me to even be here hanging out with you and doing this thing that's really, really cool. I mean, it's
Thank you.
special.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
no, it
that.
really is. And hanging out with great people, like it's just the fact that this is my life. It's not about money and success or anything like that.
And
It's
that,
just
and,
about
and you will be beyond. And now that you have that attitude, you will be so successful in life.
I believe
and
so
whatever
too,
your
but-
success is, it's not money. It's
That's right,
it's
yeah.
helping people, giving back to the community, feeling happy every day, whatever way that means. But it's definitely not money.
No, it's not.
Money
It's
is a
the-
great asset, but if you could have all the money in the world and it still won't
Yeah.
make you happy, right? And
100%.
Money
yeah,
don't
just-
bring you happiness.
yeah,
yeah.
lost into song.
I know,
like
he's
it.
so funny.
Sorry.
Sleeps in the
glitch.
house. Big sleeps.
It's my glitch.
You know what though? Yeah, it's true. The universe, when you start living a life that's kind of meaningful and gives you purpose, the universe brings people into your life that are positive, and it's just an amazing thing. Like you guys and Britt, it's just
Well,
so cool that we had
congratulations.
this connection through social media.
Yeah.
But that's the
so real and
universe,
genuine.
though. That's
Yeah.
source, right? That's
It is, it really
that's
is.
the positivity that I've brought in my life, where people can come to me and they these relationships happen for me because of the struggles that I've been through, and being able to. That's why my brand is that I want people to be inspired to tell their story, because you today alone talking about this is going to help so many people. And not even,
1000%.
and even if people weren't even watching us on social media, think about just the group of us in this room, maybe whatever we're struggling with, or, you learn so much from people's stories. It's just, and that's what it's about, is learning and really people not shying away from these things, is really talking about it, because it's going to help people, so.
I believe that too. Yeah. And
Yeah.
thank you for that. Yeah, it's really cool. And I was so nervous when I I'm like, hey, Britt, do you want to be on my little podcast where there's 10 people listening? And she's like, sure. I'm like, oh my God. And I was so nervous to interview you, but
No, I love
it's just so cool to meet people. And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad we're friends.
Yeah,
I'm super
me
pumped
too.
that we're friends.
we'll be friends
Yeah.
for a long time, for sure.
I think so too.
I'm still here, guys.
We're having a
can I-
love affair. You're in the way.
That's right,
Move.
yeah.
Me and Tyler.
We're having a moment.
Can I join the friend party?
Yeah, we love you too.
I wish
Wow.
you were in the middle. I would have moved you out of the
Wow.
way and been like,
But then it would have been a cookie with chocolate cream.
I am delighted to meet
Oh
you too,
my
man. Big sleeps.
Yeah.
I was like,
pleasure.
hey, I don't know if this guy's going to be on, I don't know if he's going to think I'm sticking out like a sore thumb on his show. I'm kind of crashing the party.
No, it's all good.
I'm just like
No.
this
No.
pale ginger with a beard.
I
And
We've
love
had a
it.
couple of you guys.
My
on
best
here.
friend's
We're
a-
not racist. We're not racist, bro.
I know, no, you're super cool. And it's just awesome. Yeah, I feel really
I'm
blessed
joking.
and at home here. So cool.
No, man, we
Good.
like to have fun, man.
come by
It's-
anytime you want.
Oh, yeah.
This is what we
Super
do.
fun. Yeah.
It's about good times. You can't.
Good
I
times,
hate
being real, yeah.
being stiff. Sometimes, I like I said, I think I'm funny, so I'll find humor in something, in order to express a positive, more than a negative,
Yeah.
right? Because if I don't,
You have to.
express that need,
Yeah.
then it'll be all pent up, and it'll be something like Ben or Naomi or somebody will have to deal with me after.
That's right. Yeah, who
Not
wants
me.
that?
Not me.
No, No, not
Yeah.
Brett. She's like, whatever, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Did you order the drinks? No, I'm just joking.
I have drinks right here. What are you talking about?
No, but I'm saying that's what you would say.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
I would.
Like,
Yeah.
it would
Yeah.
just
I'm usually on
in
top
one
of
ear
those
out the
things.
other.
But
So, but yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much,
Thank
man.
you
Like,
so much.
there's,
Guys, thanks for having me. It was super good to be here. Yeah.
No, but for real though, I want to talk to you. I want to go on my phone and make sure no crap is in there because
Yeah. We'll talk
I have
about
a
your,
lot of people's phone numbers and personal information.
Yeah, and you've got a significant history of searching,
Yeah.
for some suspicious stuff, man.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that.
It's normal. It's regular, man. I mean, people do it all the time. I do it to make sure that I'm up on what's going on just in case I get
right.
a part for research.
That's right.
It's research, man.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. Right? So VHS and all that was amazing. Nowadays, kids is like, they don't like, I feel like I sound like my parent, but y'all have it way too good. You're spoiled. Like to grab it in your phone. Just go in your phone and be like, I'm going to the bathroom. And while I'm in the bathroom, I'm going to watch this. And that'll determine how long I'm going to stay in the bathroom.
That's right. Yeah.
Can you, we had to crinkle paper. We had to like, you know what I mean? It was crazy, man. Like these kids
I feel
got
you,
it
man.
good.
I was born in '76. I went
Yeah,
through
so
the
hey.
transition as well. Yeah.
Hey, bro, so you get it.
I do.
Sorry, yeah.
I get it. Yeah. Brit's out. We started talking about porn. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh, maybe she's just
No, she had
getting
to go
another
pee.
name. Yeah.
That's her excuse to say she's got to go to the bathroom. She's always at like she goes to the bathroom the last 3 shows like 3 times, 4 times. She's got a bladder, small bladder.
Yeah.
No, I'm dead serious. I'm not even trying to be funny. she goes like 3 times a show. Yeah.
Hey, man.
So now that I put that business on the street for everybody to know about.
Getting personal.
She's gonna watch this episode
Yep.
back.
Well, she's not here now to see it. Brittany. Brittany goes pee 3 times a show minimum. Forensically, y'all have to figure that out.
That's right.
What the times where you gotta watch the show. You know, no, I'm playing. But for you, what's the most fascinating thing that you find about what you do?
Just the ability to prove something with facts. I find that I'm a very logical, very don't speak unless you know that this is true sort of person. So yeah, I just find the whole forensics field very fascinating for that reason. I like to prove things with reasonable certainty, and we have the ability to do that when we start looking at technology and the little breadcrumbs we all leave behind when we use it.
Right.
Yeah, man, it's fascinating.
What if you can? What was one of the craziest things you've ever seen while you were investigating something? Where it still stands out in your head, like it flashes in your head, where you're like, I can't even.
Well, there's a couple. So one of the ones that I was working on last fall was a lady from Edmonton that I was helping out, and she was being spied on. And it was pretty clear that she was being spied on, and she went to the police, and the police don't believe in this kind of thing typically, so they say you have to prove a crime happened before we'll open up a file. So she came to us, and she couldn't really afford to do a full-fledged investigation, but we at least wiped her devices and got rid of any kind of person in there. Now, what happened a couple days later, she sends me a text, and she says, I can't open it. And I'm like, oh no, can't open what? I didn't send you anything. So I'm like, stop, don't respond, take a screenshot. Somebody had sent her a text from my number with an attachment
wow.
that she clicked on because she thought it was from me that reinfected her phone. That was nuts. I then wrote a letter to the police saying this was not me. This is pretty clear evidence. And they're like, nah, it's just one guy's opinion. So it was a little bit of frustration with the police not acting there.
The other thing just said that you believe it's a black guy with a gun on the other end.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah, from Toronto.
Yeah. They would have been on it quick.
Deadly quick. Yeah.
Quick.
Yeah.
Well, we found the culprit. Good thing we were able to do this. It was about an hour and 15 minutes from the first time that the digital forensic investigator Tyler Hatch got a hold of us, and we were able to catch the gentleman over the other side of the province within an hour and 15 minutes, just working with law enforcement.
So the other thing that I find fascinating, right, and I just want to tie this back to Kalani and Wally Opal. So when Wally says that there are 3% of the population is Indigenous and 25% of incarcerated people are Indigenous. Yeah. So that's a fact. We know that's a fact. So what does that mean? And this is what I find fascinating. So that means to some people that Indigenous people commit more crimes than other people. To people like me and probably Kalani and probably Mr. Wally Opal, that means that there's maybe some prejudice and some perspective in law enforcement that's causing people to be arrested to a greater degree than they're actually being criminals. So that's what I talk about when I say, we found a fact in a device. What does it actually mean? So we have to be very careful about not putting our own biases on facts and interpreting them incorrectly. So I find that really fascinating. It's a whole logic, philosophical way of looking at a problem.
That's crazy.
Yeah, man.
The fact you can even do the fact that people do it and you can't even do that, I would just be curious. I'd just be curious because I'm like people.
Drop by the lab one day, man.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
give
no,
you
I
a
will.
tour.
That'd be dope.
It's a small space. It's about the size of the studio.
No, it's good.
Not as cool though.
It's good. That's all right. We'll come in and help
Yeah,
you
man.
renovate.
It's not exciting.
Quiet Storm
I'll
will
tell you
DJ
that.
for a bit.
It sounds a hell of a lot more exciting than
You
it
know what I
is.
mean?
Yeah.
I'll
But
grab
yeah.
the mic, spit some old rhymes.
Yeah.
Quiet Storm.
That's hey man, I got all
CJ
the
will come sing.
yeah guys, come on down. I got all the podcast. We got mics.
No, he's on top of the podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got to get these on. I'm thrilled to be talking on what is this?
Bro,
the-
we did not pay for these nice ass mics.
I know, man. These are like
I'm sure they're Shure mics.
they are Sure. I believe they're the
But,
M57 maybe. Yeah, they're like these are like
very
legit.
nice.
This is the Joe Rogan mic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's Joe Rogan mic.
Yeah, man. I'm thrilled. Something's
Okay.
buzzing though.
No, there's a wire that's loose,
Ah, that's better.
and I figured it out by just
Yeah.
doing my own investigations, by touching things.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, man, I feel like I'm crashing the party. Let's.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
No, we technically have 1 minute,
Oh, brilliant.
but since you want to end,
I don't want to end. I just don't want
interview.
to disappoint your audience any further with my boringness.
no, you're not bored. at all. I think most people are like very fast. I'm sitting there going like, wow. Not that I want you to go through my phone, but I want you to go through my phone. I want to make sure. No, because as our phone is it's like our wallet. It's very.
Yeah.
There's a lot of private things in there, even just private messages that you sent to your wives or your girlfriends or whatever. And for somebody to be able to be like, hey, bro, you should delete this picture. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or oh, this, you know what I mean?
And if it's deleted, can we get it back?
See that's the thing. And there's just so
Is it
many.
truly gone?
But my question is like I guess it's the phone itself. Like, cause sometimes you don't back up a phone and you can't get to other things if you don't have that phone. But is it connected to your SIM card with the? So, yeah, I have a lot of stuff that I've like even photos.
Yeah.
So
No, that's another aspect of what we do. People delete stuff and they come to us, and I personally love it. Like one of the greatest joys I get is when somebody says, "Hey, I accidentally deleted 20,000 photos off my phone. Can I pay you a bunch of money to get them back?" And I'm like, "Hold on, put your wallet away. Let's talk about that."
no,
And it's
Tyler,
like-
the answer is yes. You sure can.
Well, no, but
Let's
like-
find out how much work it is.
Truly, this is one of the greatest stories. So I literally had this situation a few months ago, and I said to the lady, I'm like, "Are you by any chance connected? You've got an Android phone, so you must have a Google account. Would there be any chance that the photos are still in your Google account?" And sure enough, they were.
Oh.
And that treating people right. That's
Yeah,
that's
no,
what I
I
do.
hear you.
Having
I
integrity.
hear you. But
It's not all
how
about
much
the
would
money.
that information would have cost?
I was going to charge her $1,500 if we had to do it the hard way.
I
Not
mean, that's
bad.
not bad for the memories that you want back. But
Free is good.
Yeah, free is way better. Trust me.
Yeah.
I would have wanted the deal you gave the lady, but if I was in the real spit, I'm not even joking. But obviously, I mean that also shows a lot about your character and who you are as a person, and that if someone like myself was to go to someone like your company, that also raises a lot of trust. So,
integrity and having integrity is a big part of me personally and professionally, and that's what I try to do with. I'm not pursuing money. I'm pursuing a higher goal than that, and it's about providing value and serving clients and doing all those great things that we all would expect as clients and customers of other businesses.
So when I play this soundbite, when I ask you to do what I'm asking you to do, I'm like, hey, bro, look right here. Quiet Storm, hit the button, hit the button, hit the button. The quality of what people do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was it.
I'm just playing. But we like to. He's gonna bring his DJ equipment with him.
Yeah.
But Tyler, we'd
Yo.
like to say thank you so much for coming by, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks
Please
for having me,
feel-
man.
please
It was
feel
a
free.
thrill.
Thank you.
Please,
Yes.
Such a pleasure.
This
Feel
girl.
free to
Amazing
come by.
story. Follow Tyler Hatch. Do
Yeah.
it. now.
Tyler Hatch, 1976, on Instagram. That's his personal stuff, and I'm sure you can find information on his company on your own personal page.
You got it. It's all over the place.
So yeah, if you want to find out anything, hit up Tyler.
Let's blow it up.
Find out, get some old pictures back. Because I think people, you have old pictures like this. Sometimes you have just things of grandparents that you can never get back yet
Yeah.
nowadays. So and parents, loved ones. So.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, once again, Tyler Hatch.
Guys,
Thank
thanks
you
a
so
lot,
much.
man. It was a real pleasure to be here. Thank you.
It was absolutely our pleasure.
Britt.
Charlie Opal.
Wally
on the show.
Opal.
Wally. Why did I say Charlie?
Oh.
Legal legend.
Oh.
Canadian
Wally.
legend. Yeah, that man is.
Hey, I almost got through one show without screwing up somebody's name. I almost got through one show without screwing up somebody's name. And that's amazing. It's Wally Opal. Sorry. Former judge and please don't.
That man is a
and
living legend.
And Attorney General. It's just he is a living legend. He's doing a lot of great things, and as you heard with Brittany and Kaylani.
Tired today. He didn't sleep
And
last night.
no, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. It was one of those nights. And and the one, the only, Tyler Hatch. I should have called you Charlie Hatch.
I've been called worse.
Tyler Hatch, digital forensics investigator, and a wonderful guest here on Hollywood North Radio. Thank you once again.
Thanks, guys. Awesome.
And for those of you, thank you so much for listening in. Woo! We'll catch y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. 2 p.m. is when we're done. 11 a.m. is when we start. 11 a.m. for 2 p.m. This is Hollywood North Radio where the celebrities come to play. Please stay tuned for Trust the Process with Jay, and Wyatt right here on Hollywood North Radio. Save on radio every Saturday. Download the app. See y'all next week. Peace.